Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear the story of a United States Senator. You are going behind the scenes of political Washington, into the Senate chambers, the cloakrooms, the private offices, the meetings, secret and public. The locale, the background, are factual. Only the names and the stories are fictional. This is Freedom, USA. Starring Tyrone Power as a Senator of the United States, and featuring the voice of America's distinguished news commentator and Washington authority, Edwin C. Hill. Freedom, USA, the story of your government today. In a moment, listen to Tyrone Power as Senator Dean Edwards in Freedom, USA. Now, we present Freedom, USA, starring Tyrone Power as Senator Dean Edwards and featuring the voice of Edwin C. Hill.
This is Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone familiar with the Washington scene cannot fail to be impressed by the blizzard of bills falling regularly into the hoppers of Congress. It is noteworthy that private bills form an appreciable part of the total introduced. Many of these private bills may relate to immigration, to getting someone into the country, or keeping him in where other remedies have failed. Right now, in the office of Senator Dean Edwards, we're privileged to witness how one of these private bills may get its start.
Have the report mimeographed and a copy sent to each member of the committee, Ginger.
Yes, Senator.
And write Mrs. Dilworth that pressure of work makes it impossible for me to address her Tuesday afternoon garden club.
I've already done that.
Oh, good. Now show Professor Mallory in.
Yes, sir. Professor Mallory?
Professor Mallory.
Well. And how is my prize student this fine day?
It's wonderful to see you again.
Delighted to see you, Senator. Seems like only yesterday you were sitting in my classroom studying law, and here you are helping to make it.
How long will you be here, Professor, and what's the occasion?
Well, I'll have to return this weekend. I've been asked to contribute my 2 cents worth to a special advisory commission, and I also want your help for a friend of mine.
Of course. All right. Sit down and tell me about it. Ginger, I'm in conference and can't be disturbed.
Yes, Senator.
Now, Professor, let's have the story.
I have a young friend, Dean. Name's Emil Stepanek.
Stepanek?
Yes, a brilliant scientist. He's a chemical specialist. The kind of a man that we can use. He's been in this country on a temporary visa and is about to expire.
Oh, and he wants to be a permanent resident.
Yeah, correct. He wants to stay in this country and apply for citizenship. If he has to return to his country, communist-dominated as it is, he won't stand a chance. He'll be liquidated or tossed into prison.
Oh, we'll have to do something to prevent that.
Oh, I knew I could count on you, Dean. You will introduce a private immigration bill for Emil?
Gladly. Will you have him write to me and send me all records and documents proving that a private bill is his only way of avoiding deportation when his visa expires?
Well, of course, I'll wire him today. And many thanks, Dean, for helping Emil Stepanek stay in this country.
What are you working on, Ginger?
There. Oh, I was just writing to explain to that lady why you couldn't introduce a bill to prohibit bullfighting in other countries.
Some of my constituents think the power of a senator is unlimited.
The party state committee has sent on those recommendations for the federal jobs open.
No. I'll study those before we make recommendations to the appropriate departments. Incidentally, did you call up the Immigration and Naturalization Service about Emil Stepanek's case?
Yes, Senator. His background seems to make him a good risk. No record of any political activities.
All right, Ginger. Attach what immigration told you to the information Stepanek sent in about himself and get it over to the Legislative Council of the Senate.
Right, Senator. Any special instructions you want to give him?
Yes. Take down this memo.
Mm-hmm.
I would greatly appreciate your drawing up a private bill for Emil Stepanek, comma. in accordance with the information contained in the attached file, period.
Is that all, Senator?
Yes, Ginger. After the council draws up the bill, they'll refer it to the proper committee and authorize the Secretary of State to deduct one person from the immigration quota.
Did Professor Mallory enjoy his visit here?
Oh, he must have. Lunched with the president, hobnobbed with Supreme Court justices, and saw the sights with a couple of cabinet members. One dinner was all the time he had for me. The old boy's a whirlwind.
He thinks a lot of you.
Well, I think a lot of him, too.
You know what he told me?
No, what?
He thinks it would be good for you and your career if you fell in love with some nice girl and got married and settled down.
Mallory always was a matchmaker at heart.
Well, I think he's right.
Ginger, not you, too.
Oh, Senator Edwards, how are you?
Fine, Senator Slade. And you?
First rate. Come in.
You sent word that you wanted to see me about something?
Yes. We've been having a meeting of my subcommittee on immigration and naturalization. I noticed one of these bills was yours.
Yes. Nothing wrong with it, I hope.
Well, I'm afraid there is. Yes, here it is. X456 for the relief of Emil Stepanek. Senator Edwards, I think this subcommittee will have to defer consideration on this bill.
Why?
Because this man isn't the kind we want admitted to this country.
But I don't understand. He's a good scientist, of fine moral character. Highly recommended by Professor Mallory.
That may be, but he looks like a bad risk to us. We've received information that he's a dangerous radical.
What?
With a long communist record.
But I can't believe it. This comes as a great shock to me, Senator. Where did you get this information?
Here, let me show you something. You see this pile of correspondence?
Yes?
Letters and telegrams. More than 100 of them. From people who state vigorously that Emil Stepanek was connected with communist organizations in his country and should not be welcome in the United States.
Let's have a look at some of those. Informed you are considering Emil Stepanek for private immigration bill and future citizenship. Please be advised this man was a member of the Young Communist League and later of the Communist Party in Homeland. George Kalinas.
Let's look at this one. If Emil Stepanek is permitted to stay in the United States, you may expect him to organize radical conspiracy and violence against the government here as he did in the old country. I lived in the same town there, and I know. Jan Lados.
Senator Slade, I don't know what to say. I've introduced 35 private immigration bills in the past 5 months, but I've never seen anything like this.
That's why I wanted you to stop in and see me. I wanted you to understand why I couldn't give this bill any consideration.
Oh, of course. You'd be derelict in your duty if you sent it through. Professor Mallory and Stepanek are both going to hear from me.
Well, personally, I never get tired eating here, Dean. The Senate dining room has the best food and the lowest prices, I've found. What's on your mind, Dean?
Is it that obvious?
Well, I can see something's troubling you.
Judge Parker, I'm a bit disturbed over one of the private immigration bills I handled recently on behalf of a foreign-born scientist, Emil Stepanek. Very good in his field, too, according to Professor Mallory of my old law school.
Well, what's wrong?
Well, at Professor Mallory's request, I had this bill drawn up to get Stepanek permanent residence here. His visa's about to expire. But there's a stack of wires and letters from various people who protest his admission. They say he's a communist.
Well, then you certainly don't want to sponsor him.
No. Not if he is one.
No.
The only thing that puzzles me is how did more than 100 people know that a private bill had been drawn up to aid this man?
Nothing too mysterious about that. Information like that usually gets around among nationals of one particular group. Probably this man told a friend who told another friend until the entire foreign colony knew about it.
Maybe so.
Have you notified this man and your friend, Professor Mallory?
Yes, I let them know the situation immediately. Stepanek wired that he's coming to Washington to see me. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Well, no harm in that. On the face of it, I'd say it sounds like he's a bad risk. Waiter, we have some more rolls, please.
Senator Edwards' office? No, the senator isn't in. I'm sorry. I have no information on the case. Senator Edwards' office. I'm sorry I can't arrange an interview yet. The senator hasn't come in yet. You might call back later.
Hi, Ginger. Why the big frown?
The phone's been ringing like mad.
What about?
The Emerald Stepanek case, X456. Newspaper reporters, wire services, radio commentators, they all want to know what's going on. Oh, yes, the Immigration Service phone, too. They said they've also had complaints from citizens about Stepanek's communist affiliation.
Looks like I've stepped into a spot.
Senator Edwards, I'm afraid you're out on a limb.
Have we heard anything from Professor Mallory or Stepanek yet?
And just this telegram from Professor Mallory.
Deeply shocked by your message. Cannot believe Stepanek is subversive. More later, Mallory. Well, I couldn't believe it either, but it seems to be so.
Oh, it isn't your fault. They shouldn't blame you.
Now, you know better than that, Ginger. If a senator introduces a bill on a man's behalf, that man should be above suspicion.
Hello.
May I help you, sir?
I wonder if I could see Senator Edwards. My name is Emil Stepanek, and...
Stepanek? Well, you're just the man I want to see. I'm Senator Edwards. Come inside, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Now, sit down, Mr. Stepanek. I have a lot of questions for you to answer. I assume you got my message?
That is correct, Senator. I came here as rapidly as possible.
Good. And I'm not going to pull any punches with you. Because you're accused of being subversive, a communist, my office is embarrassed. Now, what do you have to say for yourself?
What can I tell you, Senator, except that I am not a communist?
No, that isn't enough. You've been accused by too many persons for a simple denial to be of any value.
Who are these people who accuse me?
Men from your own country, Mr. Stepanek. Men who knew you there. They all claim that your past record makes you a danger to this country.
Senator Edwards, I know nothing of politics. Science has been my whole life. I am a chemist.
Well, tell me about your life before you came to this country.
My parents were middle-class people. Not rich, not poor. I had an older brother, John. He worked in my father's photographic studio while I studied at the university. Life was good until Hitler came into power. When the Nazis came into my country, everything was changed.
Oh, that's understandable.
It was no longer possible to pursue one's normal life. My brother and I joined the underground resistance movement. John was captured. He and my parents were executed.
And that was why you joined the communists?
No, Senator. No, I did not join them. These people were only another variety of Nazi to me. I despise them.
Then how do you explain these accusations that you were a communist?
I cannot explain them. I can only tell you they are not true. If you send me back, I'm a dead man.
And if you're not telling the truth, I'm the dead man.
Now, back to Tyrone Power, starring as Senator Dean Edwards in Freedom, USA, and the second act of our story.
This is Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen. You may view a private immigration bill as unwarranted intervention or as evidence of humanitarianism and democracy. Depends on your personal lights or perhaps on your own status of citizenship. But here in Washington, such a bill may become a highly controversial matter in which principles and careers may hang in the balance. Sometimes a senator finds himself in very hot water because of a private bill. For verification, you might stop at the office of Senator Dean Edwards.
Hello, Ginger.
Hello, Senator Edwards. How are things in the Hill?
Hot, especially for me.
Oh, the Emil Stepanek case?
Yes.
But they can't blame you for that.
They can't applaud me either. Several of my worthy colleagues have let me know privately that I did a very foolish thing in getting up a bill for Stepanek. That it's men like me who undermine public confidence in Congress.
Well, I think that's very unfair.
No, I can't blame them. The heat's on me, and they hear from their constituents, too. It wouldn't surprise me if I were called to account on the Senate floor. I'll be in my office for a while.
Welcome back, Senator.
Mary Kincaid, what are you doing here?
Waiting for you. I want to know more about your latest hot potato, namely X456. This time, whether you hang on to it or drop it, it looks like you're going to get burned.
I suppose so. If even you see it like that.
Me? Well, I'm in your rooting section. Now, what about this Stepanek jackpot? Is this man a commie or isn't he?
I really don't know. He says he isn't. Professor Mallory says he isn't. A lot of others say he is.
Press is playing it up big.
Yes, I know.
Have you seen the latest headlines?
No.
Look at that.
Senator Edwards intercedes for subversive. Legislator incurs public wrath by supporting communist. Sullen defiant on legislation for red.
And they're building you a nice little bonfire.
I know, Mary. You'd think I was the only senator who ever tried to introduce a private immigration bill.
Tell me this. What have you done to check on Stepanek?
Well, I have a government investigator on the case. If I get enough time, I'll know for certain whether Stepanek deserves the relief I tried to give him.
You won't get enough time, Senator.
What do you mean?
Emil Stepanek's visa expired yesterday. The Immigration and Naturalization Service has had a warrant issued for his arrest and deportation.
You've been working too hard, Dean, and it's a beautiful drive out to Falls Church.
Yeah, you're right, Judge Parker. I'm obliged for the invitation.
Oh, there's another reason I asked you, Dean. Understand you haven't dropped this Stepanek case completely.
No, not altogether.
I don't like to meddle in your affairs, my boy, but I think you're making a mistake. Remember, I told you weeks ago that if there was any question about the man, not to press the issue.
I know, Judge. Maybe I should have taken your advice at the time. Now I can't drop the case.
Well, you can't afford not to drop it.
No, that's just the point. Unless I can find evidence to show that Stepanek is not a communist and never was one, I can't vindicate myself.
Well, I admire your persistence, even if I must question your judgment. Wasn't your man ordered deported recently?
Yes. Yes, his visa expired, and immigration saw no reason to let him stay, especially with the accusations made against him. I've talked to the officials, however, and they've promised to delay the deportation proceedings.
Yeah, they won't hold up deportation very long, even for you.
No, I know. But I have a government investigator contacting the people who have made the charges. I should know the facts before long.
Well, I hope they help you. Ah, here we are at Falls Church. Let's stroll around a bit, eh? Do you good.
I have Mr. Barlow on the phone now, Senator.
Oh, thanks, Ginger. Hello, Mr. Barlow. Well, I'm rather impatient to find out what you've discovered. But they can't have vanished into thin air. We're not dealing with phantoms. Real people sent those letters and wires. You must locate them. Well, then check the others on the list. And stay with it till you find something, please. Thank you.
He doesn't have any information?
No, not yet. Says the persons who sent in those protests can't be found.
Isn't that strange?
Yes, Ginger, very strange. I'm not interested in the authors of the general protests, but the people who wired accusations against Stepanek can't be located. There's no record of any George Kalinas or Jan Lados or half a dozen others whose names were signed to the wires.
Oh, won't that help you?
Not unless Barlow tracks down every single one and finds that they're all fictitious. And by the time he can do that, it'll be too late.
Oh. The reporters were here while you were out. I told them there was nothing new. You have 2 committee meetings this afternoon, and the subcommittee on immigration is meeting again this afternoon.
I think I'd better stop in at that one.
It won't be pleasant.
I know, Ginger, but I'd better be there.
What shall I tell the press when they call?
I'll tell them when I have some news, I'll give it to them. And I'd better have some for them before they have some for me.
Gentlemen, I believe it's the unanimous opinion of this subcommittee that Bill X456 for the relief of Emil Stepanek should not be given further consideration.
Mr. Chairman.
For what purpose do you wish to be recognized, Senator Edwards?
To speak in defense of X456, which I am responsible for, Mr. Chairman.
Approval of this bill appears unwarranted on the basis of information available to this subcommittee.
Nevertheless, I ask for an opportunity to speak.
There being no objections voiced by members of the subcommittee, the chair recognizes Senator Edwards.
Gentlemen, under ordinary circumstances, I would not attempt to delay your disapproval of this bill. Normally, there would be time to draft a new bill with fresh and favorable evidence. But the situation surrounding this petition has been so unusual that I must request further consideration.
I fail to see how we can grant it, Senator Edwards. You must be aware of the great number of complaints from the public and criticism by the press which have attended this petition almost from the moment it was drafted.
Well, it is precisely because I am aware of the complaints and criticisms that I ask you not to be stampeded into action which is final.
May I remind you, sir, the man is strongly suspected of being a communist. I myself showed you the many communications received which so charged him. You read the accusations yourself.
Yes, I read them. And I wondered how so many people could be aware of an application still in committee, of a bill not yet made public. I saw these accusations, yes, but I failed to see where any of them was supported by evidence.
Senator Edwards, this subcommittee isn't in the habit of summoning witnesses to testify against an applicant. We base our judgment upon precedent and common sense. And when so many persons say a man is a communist, our course must be obvious. We have neither the staff, time, nor facilities to conduct crusades.
Well, may I explain that I have a government investigator checking on the authors of the accusations against Emil Stepanek. And, gentlemen, up until now, he has found that the names listed in these accusations are fictitious, that the writers are nowhere to be found.
Senator Edwards, I don't see how this information can alter our opinion. The letters and telegrams did not write themselves. If their authors preferred to remain anonymous, they may have had reasons. The guilt or suspicion of guilt they have cast still remains. Now, why don't you give it up as hopeless and let this subcommittee proceed with its other business?
I have a message for Senator Edwards.
What is it, Miss Mullen?
This wire just came from Mr. Barlow. I thought you'd want to see it right away.
Oh, yes. Let's have a look. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Thanks, Ginger.
Good luck.
May I ask if Senator Edwards has concluded his remarks to this subcommittee?
No, Mr. Chairman, I have not. I now have fresh evidence which must throw a new light on X456. This is a wire just received from the government investigator tracing the authors of the accusations against Emil Stepanek. With your indulgence, I should like to read it to you.
You may proceed.
Through handwriting, have traced author of 3 letters accusing Stepanek of communism. He is Walter Granos, who has long criminal record and is currently wanted for armed robbery. Granos now in custody. Acting for Communist Central Committee, Granos instructed members of 2 cells to send accusations that would get Stepanek deported. Objective was to bring Stepanek back to Iron Curtain homeland for liquidation. Now collecting and will forward certified affidavits from others involved in plot. Signed, Ross Barlow. Gentlemen, here is the first evidence. You will shortly get detailed evidence, affidavits to prove beyond any doubt that this ugly plot was inspired by communists and organized by a criminal. In the name of justice and mercy, I ask you to give further consideration to the admission of Emil Stepanek.
Members of the subcommittee, what is your reaction to the proposal of Senator Edwards? Those in favor will signify in the usual manner. Senator Edwards, I think you may consider that there will be favorable reconsideration to the admission of Emil Stepanek.
This is Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we found ample evidence to justify our feeling that our democracy is not a cold machine of inflexible patterns. I think we've seen that our government is still sensitive to the worthy exceptions, and that the door to the land of liberty is not locked to the deserving who seek admission. This is freedom, USA.
Our star, Tyrone Power, will return in just a moment.
Senator Edwards, your office looks positively festive today.
It's a festive occasion, Mary.
Well, Mr. Stepanek, the months of waiting are over. Now that your bill for permanent residence has been passed by Congress and signed by the President, how do you feel?
I feel good. Very good, Miss Kincaid. Like I'm born again. I shall work hard to be a good citizen and to be worthy of my adopted country.
I'm sure you'll be a credit to America.
Thank you. I shall do my best. I have applied for first papers already.
Wonderful, Emil. You found it difficult getting in. We're more careful in these times. We have to be. Sometimes justice moves slowly while we check up on things. But thank heavens there is justice here and a torch of liberty that doesn't go out.
Next week, may we invite you to again visit our national capital for another absorbing episode of Freedom, USA, starring Tyrone Power. In the interest of good government, we urge you to listen to these important stories from Washington, D.C. Freedom, USA.